The following program is brought to you by Pizza Productions.
I know things are getting tougher when you can't get the top off the bottom of the barrel. Wide open, wrong my future now. It's looking fucking new. All I know is that I don't know. All I know is that I don't know nothing. All I know is that I don't know. All I know is that I don't know nothing.
Welcome everybody to an all-new episode of the podcast that everyone listens to. I'm your host, Kevin Porter, and this week's episode we're joined with a very special guest. We have Braden McDannell.
Hello.
on the show. I just got confirmation prior to pressing record. I was like, how do you pronounce your last name? McDannell?
People, well, if you look at it, it looks like Niel, but it's actually Nnell, so it's like that McDannell. If you want to get really like Englishy on it. Technically English, I guess you could say. But yeah.
I have a really bad habit whenever, like, sometimes I don't stop and read it all the way through, so a lot of it's just kind of like a quick glance.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of just assume that it's that, but then like...
Right. I was talking about this with a student today.
Really?
Like your
Okay.
mind like finishes things that you've seen before that look similar to,
Of course.
you know.
Of course,
it's just how our mind works, I guess. But
No, dude.
yeah.
It happens to me more often than not, it seems like, but then I thought I'd take the time, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you like fill in the gap
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like your brain does it without you even
Yeah,
realizing it.
it's kind of weird because usually it's like it's never something that really comes up until you stop and like speak about it with somebody else, but internally in your head and in your mind, you know,
It's called something. It's like I can't.
yeah.
It's actually like a learning. It's a something with how we learn. I
Okay.
can't remember
Like
what
a
it
little coping
specifically
mechanism
is.
or something?
It's something like that. Like
Yeah.
basically how our brain will like, you know, we learn a certain way, whether it's like auditory or visually.
Okay.
And it's just like that gap. Like
I see.
our brain will fill in the gap like without us even knowing.
Right.
It's like subconsciously
Okay.
almost.
Yeah, like
So-
subconscious. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it for sure, man. Well, you know, man, I just want to, thank you definitely for coming on here. Now, you're not originally from Yakima.
My
You are new to the Yakima Valley area.
I am.
So, man, if you can, definitely give me kind of some feedback on you, where you came from.
Yeah,
you know,
we'll do.
growing
So,
up.
I grew up on the East Coast, like central Pennsylvania. So, it was kind of in the sticks. I grew up on a farm, if that gives you any idea of, of my upbringing.
Yeah, of course. And it's kind of like, it's similar to a point over here. I mean, a lot of it, like, foresty area.
Definitely.
I mean,
a lot
you
of
got
it is... Yeah, a lot of it is very rural and like, away from the city. The closest city where I live is like 30 minutes. So
30 minutes. So you were just like basically raised in the middle of nowhere in a sense, kind of like...
It's out there.
Yeah, no, for sure, dude. So were you like just like living on the farm then, living the farm life? Or like were you guys just had some property out there? Or?
Basically, yeah. My parents own an old farmhouse. Well, there's actually two houses on the property. The original house is like, it looks like a cabin.
Oh, wow.
And it's completely livable, but there was never any plumbing in the place. And
that would cause a problem.
Yeah, right. So my
Yeah.
pap actually he lived with us for a little while, and my dad fixed the entire place up, the interior, everything, and like the only thing he didn't have was plumbing. But
Right.
what's cool is the houses are so close. Like, you know,
Okay.
if you have to take a dump or like brush your teeth,
Of
like you
course.
can just like walk
on over. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So 22-acre farm. Grew up with three brothers.
Right.
So kind of that farm life, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
and being in the Northeast and whatnot, it's like it's kind of, it feels like it'd be like a very different pace of life in terms of like compared to over here, because over here, I mean, Seattle's like 200 miles away, but it seems like New York would probably be within like that
Yeah,
that same distance, and like plus all the other major cities that are around you.
That is a kind of a weird thing about the West Coast is you have those spots that you hit on the West Coast, but really if you look at the East Coast, it's like New York City, Philly maybe, and then like you're basically jumping down to like Florida, like Miami and all that stuff like on the Panhandle. So yeah, there's not really too many bigger cities like coastal.
Coastal, okay.
There's Jersey, the Jersey area, I guess.
Right.
But mainly New York, Florida, Miami.
Like Washington D.C. in there, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that would be like Baltimore. That's kind of like the harbor area.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that would count. So.
Okay. Did you guys do a lot of traveling, like going up and down?
Oh, always. My parents were. I mean, that's kind of why I came out to this area. Is mainly because of my family. they really like encouraged me to get out and kind of experience life, and I wouldn't be here without them. You know,
Right.
like, they're just like go. You know,
It's like get out the door, go explore.
You know, yeah, pretty much. And
growing up in a forest and whatnot, I mean, obviously you're gonna be
Yeah.
outdoors and
Totally
get out, get away.
Totally. So I think that was really their mentality for a long time. Was like, you know, get out of this area and like
Right.
experience things other than this area, because just like, you know, when you live in kind of like a backwoods part of town or part of the state, it's Pennsylvania. Not a lot of people think about it, but it's very big and it's like spaced out.
Right.
You know, it's like there's like 5 hours between Pittsburgh and Philly, so
that's like longer than between us and Spokane.
Yeah,
Sure. That's like a 4-hour drive.
right.
So,
So
yeah.
it's a pretty big. You know, you're covering a lot of
right
terrain.
Right. It's two different tales of two different cities for sure. Dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So is like Philly kind of like, or not Philly, but I'm sorry, like the state of Pennsylvania is kind of just like, would Philadelphia, that area, be kind of your more, what we consider like a liberal side or whatnot, like a blue side, and then you got your red side on that side, because that's kind of how Washington is.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Philly's probably definitely more liberal.
Okay.
I would say Pittsburgh is getting more liberal. Like
Yeah.
I think because I lived near Portland for a little while, and
Okay.
a lot of it just reminds me of Portland. Maybe not culturally,
Really?
but like
Okay.
visually, how the city
Yeah.
looks. And
Yeah. I took a tour of Pittsburgh through Google Maps.
Yeah, nice.
And
nice.
I could totally see that. You know, I could see it doesn't seem like it's very, you know, it's like kind of a flat ground.
It's for the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, but yeah, it's a cool kind of like working class blue collar
Right,
city. You
right,
know,
of course.
Steel town.
And you guys where you grew up, you were closer to Pittsburgh than you were.
So where we live now, here in Yakima is like kind of comparable to like the drive to Seattle to Pittsburgh,
okay.
where I grew up. Like
Okay.
I lived like 2 hours outside of Pittsburgh. So.
Yeah, like I would definitely consider us more closer to the western side of the state, considering you know, I know we're central, but
Totally.
still.
But yeah, even like where I grew up, it was central Pennsylvania. Like it's literally like smack dab in the center.
Right,
So.
right. So growing up though, and like in Pennsylvania, what was kind of like the life like in the sense of like, you know, what would you guys like, you know, like culturally and stuff, like what was that like?
A lot of rednecks around.
A lot of rednecks. Yeah. It seems like no matter where you go, though, you're always gonna have that.
You got that demographic of
it's like,
rednecks. Yeah, anywhere you go, really.
You know.
But yeah. I mean, it's a red area. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of Republicans, not very many Democrats.
Right.
You know, it's kind of one of those deals where it's like visibly you can see the difference.
Right.
Like, not a whole lot of people really are Democratic or whatever.
And so, like growing up, like eventually, you know, you're old enough to venture off, got a car and stuff, you know, and like obviously, you know, people know you for your music and whatnot. Kind of like, what would you say? Kind of like was, you know, growing up in you know, that type of area. What were like influences on music and whatnot? And, like,
so musically, I grew up with just listening to what my parents listened to. So it was a lot of like folk music and, you know, Simon and Garfunkel and like, you know, just that era, the Beatles,
right.
You know, you just kind of grow up listening to what your parents listened to. And with my dad, it was kind of more on like the rock side, like AC/DC and kind of all that stuff.
It's a good influence there, you know.
It was a good dynamic because my mom had like the more folk, you know, she was into like the more folk music, and you know, my dad was too, but he was. I think musically, he got me into playing an instrument because I would listen to him growing up playing the guitar. He knew like a couple chords, you know, and he would just play those chords. And growing up, you're like, damn, like that's cool. Like I want to learn.
I need to learn this.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course,
so he kind of struck my interest in playing music, really.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
It comes from a long line of musicians. So it would have been his dad's father. He made and repaired instruments. He was like a kind of jack of all trades kind of person, and he would like take them apart and he would like try to build them from scratch. Like I remember this chunk of wood my dad had, and this thing was like passed down to him,
right?
And he was trying to make a double neck guitar.
Whoa.
It was from a solid piece of wood.
Whoa.
The necks were cut out
Right.
and everything, and like it was just, it's kind of like a relic in my family because, like, you know, it's just something that he never finished. But it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Is that something your family you guys still have then?
Yeah. My dad has like a bunch of instruments like my grandfather worked on and like stuff that he never finished and was just, you know, they're like heirlooms that have just been passed down.
Of course.
So it's pretty cool.
Of course, man. So, you know, going from that, you know, you get to your teenage years and whatnot, like what sort of bands were you getting into at that point?
Man, I probably got into music first. I was like the first one out of my family to like listen to music, and I was just like,
you kind of just become that, you know, that obsession.
Yeah, it was
that
literally
becomes
an obsession.
Life right
so,
there. Yeah.
You know, I went from like a middle school kid that played basketball and football to like completely
just a 180.
Yeah, completely just I'm just like I don't care about anything else.
Right.
I just want to play music and listen to music. Really.
Yeah,
Like, that was like what I wanted to do.
Of course.
So I think around I'd say 12 or 13, I really started to like want to learn how to play guitar, and I was listening to a lot of punk rock. That was like punk rock for me was like just I was like hooked. You know, the drums in punk rock was just like
that's the same thing for me too, man, dude. Straight up.
And and so my I would say my older cousin got me into punk rock. Like I remember listening to Nimrod. You know, that whole album.
Dude, yeah, that's
I'm just like this is amazing.
That was one of the first punk albums I got to listen to. I remember as around the same age.
Honestly, still one of my favorite albums of all time. I just think like every song is great. It's produced like excellently. The songs are just well written. They have a lot of like good meaning. And,
Nice Guys. Like starting off with Nice Guys Finish Last, man. That was like, you know, that dude. Then King for a Day.
It hooks you definitely. Yeah. But that was like the allure. You know, it was Green Day, and then you know my cousin would give me just like old CDs that he didn't listen to anymore. Like I remember one was Core, you know, STP Core. I'm just like thinking about that now. I'm just like, wow, that's such a huge like influential album.
Right.
But like Nirvana, like all the grunge stuff, the '90s stuff I was into, Green Day, Rancid. I loved Rancid at the time.
Rancid. I love Rancid, dude. Straight up, man.
Yeah, just a lot of the, you know. I even listened to. I grew up listening to like some ska bands and.
What kind of ska bands?
Like Real Big Fish, Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
I love Goldfinger's like first couple albums. I guess that's when they were really truly still ska.
You know, their new album is still it's just as good, man. Like because they definitely got to that point where it was like it was pretty iffy. Like I'm trying to remember the name of the album, but it had like something about a fat cat or some shit. Like and like. It was something about the rat race. That was like the third track. Like I'm really bad with names on albums and shit.
I'm just trying to think because the first album I listened to. That,
oh no, of course no. This was like something that got released like 2007 or some shit like that within the last like 10 years.
Yeah, I remember one of their like older albums was called Open Your Eyes, and it was just.
Again, this is where my like totally lack of knowledge on CD names and track names.
This was like maybe 03, like 04.
It could have been that.
It might have been.
Yeah, I remember it was track 3 though. It was the like there was the only good song on the fucking CD, and it was like that was the only song I would go to. But Goldfinger was fucking badass, man. You ever listen to like Streetlight Manifesto or?
Yeah, well, I played with a bassist in college that loved obscure. Not to say that they're obscure, but like just you know he was
not a lot of people.
They're
of
not.
Course, you
could
say that
like,
for sure. It's definitely a niche.
Not being mainstream is actually, you know, a good thing. But he would listen to like. I'm trying to think of the random bands he would listen to. He was really into. Who's the 3-piece band? They're They're like newer. They've written like a bunch of kind of like pop rock hits. They're kind of like experimental. I'm trying to think. They're a 3-piece. They're British. He was into like a lot of British 3-pieces and like Oasis. He loved Oasis.
Okay.
And just a lot of random bands. The Jam. Have you ever heard of the Jam?
I've never heard of the Jam, dude.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, there you go. So just obscurity, like total obscurity. But yeah, I've heard of them, but never kind of.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of getting deep into ska there, you know. So talk about like NoFX, then you listen to a lot of NoFX.
NoFX.
One of my like influential like punk rock bands that I fucking as a kid when I found was Operation Ivy.
Oh yeah, of course. Their first album was amazing. Knowledge and you know Green
Unity.
Day covered Knowledge. So it was just like, what is the song that is like completely different than the original? You know, you hear the original, you're just like. what? You know, when Green Day plays it, it's just like a joke.
A little bit slower, slower version of it. But you know, I mean, like I don't have any tattoos, but there's a couple bands out there, Operation Ivy being one of them, and Pennywise being the other one, where I would actually literally put their logos on my body.
Pennywise was another big one.
I would say outright Pennywise was like my favorite fucking band, and still is.
Their logo, I like wrote that on everything. I had that scribbled on the PW. I had that written on freaking everything. But yeah, a lot of Pennywise. Like the album Straight Ahead was just like,
that's my favorite. Straight up,
awesome.
Dude. Yeah. That's their best album.
For sure. I mean, that was one of those albums where you just like wore it out. You know, like you just play. It was just played so much.
I think like one of their most like what's the word? Not underestimated, but like underrated albums would be About Time. And it wasn't really like they came through a couple years ago and they played that. They went on tour playing the whole entire album, and like I listened to it a crap ton before going and seeing it, and then seeing it live. It's just like there's so many like good fucking songs.
Yeah, well, that's more like their second album, third album, something like that. Is it like their early stuff?
It's. I want to say it was like 96 maybe. Okay. Yeah. I think it was before Straight Ahead, because Straight Ahead was like 99 or something like that. 99. Yep. And I'm probably completely off on these numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty close.
Sounds right, because I remember playing like Andy McDonald skateboarding on computer, and even Tony Hawk, like they played like.
I don't think I ever played Andy McDonald's skateboard.
It was an obscure game. Okay. But they had Pennywise on there. Goldfinger was on their soundtrack. Like Sublime. I was introduced to Sublime through.
Sublime,
dude. So I was introduced to Sublime. Maybe not introduced to Sublime, but like I got kind of like my first real taste of Sublime with another obscure game system and game.
Okay.
So it was Dave Mirra.
BMX. Yeah, no, I've heard of that game.
Yeah, for Dreamcast.
Yeah,
Sega Dreamcast.
I remember that game, dude.
Yeah, which was like, they made Dreamcast for a couple years. Like, I don't remember them being like huge.
I had a friend that had the Dreamcast, dude, and I remember playing a couple games on there.
Yeah, it was pretty dope, actually. And so Dave Mirra BMX, you know, What I Got was on there, was on their soundtrack. So that was kind of like one of my first experiences with Sublime. Yeah. Speaking of punk and ska.
Yeah, and those talking about like all those games, you know, it's just like that was another major influence, at least on, you know, in terms of like just like, you know, finding punk rock music in my own life. I mean, outside of friends, man, playing Tony Hawk, dude, and
hell yeah,
Dead Kennedys.
Dead Kennedys, just I mean, literally any of those games, you know, like kind of playing off of what you said for sure. I mean, I guess I never really thought about it that way, but a lot of the music I was listening to was probably influenced a lot by video games. Were you like ever into like skateboarding or like anything of that nature, or was it more just like the drumming and that's the thing though, is like where I lived kept me from really. I loved skateboarding, but it kept me from skateboarding because like there was nowhere to go. I was just like in the country,
right?
You know, like, it's pretty tough skateboarding in like shale.
Dad, let's get some concrete. You know,
pour some concrete, Dad. No, trust me, like I would have loved that, but not a whole lot of skateboarding. I actually was more into like BMXing. Like I had a BMX bike, and you know,
that would make sense because you got the dirt. I mean, you could just take a BMX bike anywhere,
and like dirt bikes. Yeah, and my dad. Too, you know,
my kids got motorbikes. Dude.
They're a blast. Hell yeah, they're a blast. Like it's one of those things where you know it's like it never gets old kind of thing. Like you can just have so much fun on one of those things. But yeah, like you know, my dad would come home with random stuff like. Over the years, golf carts and just random shit. He was just that dad. Yeah. Just like he loved toys, you know. So it was just like dirt bikes, street bikes, and golf carts, and we had just like a bunch of stuff at one point. Like we had a moped for a while, which is like one of those ones where you have to pedal it to get it started.
Is that okay? I don't think I've ever ridden a moped. So honestly,
they're they probably only go up to like 20 miles per hour. They're like super like janky, you know. It's like funny, but just over the years, like my dad's awesome. He's just like he's a total like man's man, you know. He can like fix anything. He's into cars, you know. He's just like that kind of dad. So
that's what's up, dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's great. So
no, dude, for sure. But I don't know, man. You know, fucking music, dude.
But. Yeah, so back on the topic of music, I guess that's kind of what initially brought me out west was, my brother and I got the opportunity to move to California. So we're just like,
okay,
shit, let's go. There was never a question of like, how the hell are we gonna do this? Kind of thing. It was just like, let's just do it.
Yeah. How old were you for that?
So this was right after I graduated. Actually, I got my degrees. And I'm just like, I'm done with school.
It's like college, graduating college.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got my master's degree in 2012. Or 2011. I would graduate with my master's, and then I moved in 2012.
Okay.
May of 2012.
Yeah, you took care of all your responsibilities. So let's have some fun.
Yeah, I finished school. I was working. I had some money saved, and I'm just like, let's go, man. Like, probably won't get this opportunity ever again. So, we just like moved on a whim. It was like totally like, I don't want to say unplanned, but like, I didn't have a job. Neither of us had a job. He got contacted. He was actually like a male model for a good while. And that's how we got the opportunity to go out west.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
And, we like try to support each other and shit like that. And he eventually like met a girl and actually moved to the East Coast like 2 years later.
Oh, he moved back?
Well, it was weird because we both lived in LA, and then my fiance, who's probably on her way here, she got a job out west, and I'm just like, well, like, let's go. We weren't engaged at the time, obviously, but I'm just like, come on out,
let's do it.
You like California? Like, come on out. So it was one of those things, and she did, and the rest is history kind of thing. But he met a girl that obviously fell in love with, and he wanted to pursue his modeling stuff more. And he got an offer from this huge place in New York to do it. So he's just like, let's go.
You gotta jump at that opportunity.
Yeah, so he was just moving back to the East Coast, literally like around like 2 years after we moved, while I was moving to Oregon because I got a job at OSU in Oregon.
Okay.
So we were like kind of both leaving around the same time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how that worked out, but yeah, I moved to California. 2 years, lived there.
So how would you describe living in Los Angeles then?
Busy, crowded, stinky. No, I loved my experiences living in California. I don't regret it, because it's like you got Venice Beach, you got Santa Barbara, you have like all these amazing things in this area. But it's very like materialistic, and there's just a lot of things that I saw myself in the future like fucking hating. Like I hated it at the time.
Just sitting there in traffic, fucking
yeah.
These consumer pigs.
Okay, so traffic is one where you're just like, fuck, like I'm spending so much time in a vehicle, like fuck this. So I mean that's a downside, obviously. The cost of living is a downside. Like the people. Most of the people in LA are like transplants. Like a lot of them.
No one's truly from LA.
Yeah, and if you meet a true person from LA, like you probably know. But a lot of people, they're foreign, or you just like transplants, like exactly how I ended up there.
Everybody's from a different town.
And everyone's an artist, bro.
Everybody. You think Yakuba's bad?
Yeah, well, it's like, you talk to anyone, like, I'm an artist. Well,
What kind of art?
Yeah, totally. So it's kind of cool because you meet really a lot of interesting people, young or old, really.
Of course.
And, but yeah, like I said, I don't regret living there. It was just kind of like a chaotic time because I couldn't really find a full-time job.
Okay.
And, like, financially, it was just like,
not the
screw this place.
Yeah.
I was just ready to like get
draining
out.
You.
Yeah, it was really draining me, and just like things you take for granted, like even going to work in the morning. You're riding a bus, or you're paying for a meter, and it's just
too much of a hassle.
Yeah, it's a lot of stress. It'd be probably similar to living in Seattle. You gotta like consider things that you probably never considered before you moved there. So
much so, man. So much so. So when you're down in Los Angeles, though, I mean, like, are you pursuing music still? I mean, kind of.
So that's the thing.
What's that?
Yeah, I was like, let's just put it this way. I should have been more than I was.
Right.
I was just so focused on like, finding a stable job so that I could like feel some sort of stability, but it just like never happened. I don't know why. I think I was like somewhat depressed being there because I knew that I wasn't very happy living there, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, definitely. And definitely just being under that type of pressure. I mean, I could definitely see where that would be hard to like focus. Like, all right, I'm gonna go hit the open mics 5-7 nights a week, because I would imagine being down there in LA, you're able to like really kind of like map out a schedule where you can just be hitting places left and right.
Totally.
Like, no matter what your art is, whether it's comedy or
I mean, you can even busk. Like busking is like a cool thing to do if you want to go to the beach, or if you hit like a certain area like Hollywood. If you go to like Hollywood Boulevard, like everyone's there. Yeah. So 100%. It's just like there's just such an interesting dynamic of people that are just coming through that city. It's just like actually just a crazy place. It's just really crazy. But
because you're always constantly just
it's a hustle. Everything's a hustle.
Yeah, and it's like my own experience really is just going to Seattle, and like I could just imagine what it is from LA and whatnot. It's like a bigger, hotter town, and like you got. Oh man. Yeah,
it's intense. Let's put it that way. It was like a complete culture shock moving there. Driving into LA, you're thinking like, this is awesome. Going to LA.
See the LA palm trees when you're driving in.
Man. Like you're completely just naive to like what you're really getting into. But, like I said, had a lot of, I wouldn't say bad experiences. It was just like things that just didn't work out. But I also had like a lot of great experiences. I met a lot of cool people. Yeah. Actually, right before I moved to Oregon, I was in the middle of like forming a band, so it was like kind of bittersweet leaving. I was just like, damn, I like want to stay, but I fucking need money.
Money unfortunately is a little bit more important than
right. So it was like a priority thing.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It was shitty because like when I had to move, I had to like break it to these people that I was playing music with, and like the one guy like took it. Kind of like, I don't want to say he took it hard, but like he was like kind of upset. Like,
wow, it's like, well, buddy, no, man, I want you to stay here and work that minimum wage job your whole life, bro, and like let's play garage band, Like,
no, I mean it wasn't necessarily like that, but he was more just like, damn, like we had like a good thing going here, kind of thing.
So disappointed,
yeah. So that was unfortunate, but I moved to Oregon, so it was like I went to like one extreme to the next.
Just really quick sidetrack. What kind of music were you guys playing?
Oh, so fucking dog's chewing shit up over there. So it was just me and my acoustic for a long time, and then we just started kind of like experimenting with things. Like he played piano.
Okay.
And he had an electronic drum set, which seems like really like nerdy, but they're cool.
No, that's what when me and my buddy Dustin were playing music and stuff. That's what we had, and that's how we looped all of our drums was on a electric drum set.
Yeah. So they're cool to like experiment with, and kind of like we were just kind of trying to figure out like what worked,
get a sound and stuff. Yeah.
And what was like really interesting about this guy that I was playing music with is he was like. He made videos, like he was like a videographer, but he also was like a painter. He painted. It was like street art. He was like a street artist.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
For sure.
So it was pretty cool. So this guy just had like a knack for improvising. Like he was just so freaking. I've never met anyone that could improvise like this guy. Not necessarily musically, but like lyrically and like melodically.
See, that's talent right there.
Yeah, and I was like blown away, almost like blown away by this guy. I'm just like, damn, like this is cool, because if he could come up with the melodies for lyrics, like I can write lyrics. Like I'll try to put lyrics to like the melody, and like that's kind of like how we got started. So yeah, like I said, it was kind of bittersweet. It was a bit like rock experimental.
Did you guys ever get like demo anything or?
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff on my phone, but I don't even know if I have it anymore. It's probably
it's not necessarily out there.
It's probably backed up somewhere. But
okay.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that was like, when I left, I had a bit of a falling out with that guy, which kind of sucks, but that's a completely other story. Yeah, I could get into that.
Okay.
But,
yeah, man. So you're taking off from LA, and you get this job at Oregon State University.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yep. So it was like polar opposites.
I'm
going from like the biggest city in the country to like
hipster capital.
Yeah, literally the smallest freaking. I wouldn't say a hick town, but like Corvallis is just like a bubble.
Yeah.
It's just such a bubble, and like it's just out in the countryside. Like there's nothing.
It's beautiful
around.
out there.
No, it's totally beautiful.
Out there.
And yeah, it was just it was an interesting place to move to after being in a city where you're just like, you know, like I can relax here, you know.
Right. As soon as you're, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really enjoyed working in Oregon. I really liked living and working in Oregon, I should say. My fiance didn't like it down there too much. I don't know why, but yeah, had a good time down there. I played with a band.
Nice.
So I moved down there and I kind of tried to immediately just get into the music scene, play open mics, and kind of
really just trying to hit that, get your name out there.
Well, yeah, just kind of build some momentum, and it was one of those things where I played in bands. Alva, go lay down. Played in bands for like the longest time, and I was always a drummer or whatever. So when I joined this band in Oregon, they're like, "Whoa, you have a good voice. You should sing. You should be our vocalist."
Yeah.
And I'd always like pictured myself being a vocalist. You know, I think of like Greg Gaffin from
Bad Religion.
From Bad Religion, or like, you know, I was always into, you know, completely different genre, but like the Black Crowes. I can't remember his name, but like the lead singer for the Black Crowes was just like, damn, like this guy has some pipes, like I can do this kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
And the music we were playing in that band was more like we were just a rock band.
Okay.
It was kind of like, I would say like kind of Southern rock influenced, and there was a lot of like aggression that I felt when I was playing in this band.
Okay.
And that's one thing that really drew me into like punk rock and hardcore music, was like the aggression. Like I'm not really an aggressive person, but I feel like that is like my outlet to aggression, is like the music side of it. So
and you feel that rush going through.
Yeah.
And you hear, like you said earlier, you know, it's like kind of comes back to the drums, that drum beat.
Totally.
You know, it's just
totally. It's like the driving force of it for sure. And
it makes me just want to go do things whenever I hear it.
No, totally. But like joining this band was interesting because like they were playing with, you know, they had a drummer and like all these people that were the only consistent people that were in this band were the lead guitarist and the rhythm guitar player. Okay. And the bassist, who were like, they were like all classically trained musicians. Like these guys were like jazz players and shit. Like they were really freaking they were like intimidating to play with. Because like, you know,
I can see that for sure.
You know, I grew up playing with people that were like self-taught and like, you know, like you knew power chords and maybe like you could solo over a chord progression. Like, it was nothing like crazy. These guys were like and
you're just kind of like shitting your pants a little bit, like, oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm just like, so you guys are amazing at, you know, at playing guitar. It was basically, well, like I said, it was intimidating because I'm supposed to be a singer. They're like, well, we want you to like sing for us. Right. I'm just like, damn, I'm used to like having like playing something. Right. You know, so it was just a weird change for me. Like, I had always wanted to be a singer, but I never really knew how I would do that. Yeah. Yeah, because like I definitely like from my own sense, you know, like I am not musically trained in the least. Like I have zero music knowledge outside of just like knowing kind of what I listen to. I guess what you
like,
yeah.
Yeah, and so like when I experienced like trying to like play in a band and stuff, I definitely found myself like the way I counted in and stuff was completely, you know. When I compared it to somebody that was actually like trained in it, I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'm not doing that anyway, correct? But it makes sense to me the way I'm doing it. So, and
I know what
if it works, it works.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's the crazy thing about playing music, though, and like just music in general is it's not subjective, but it can be. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you have someone like Eric who's like he's trained because like he was in band or whatever. You know, like he just knows
what.
He just knows, you know, theory or whatever. But I honestly think that, you know, for me, I was like always jealous of that, like not knowing as much as like I could have. But but something I've noticed about people that are like trained in music is like they're always thinking about that, like those, I guess, borders of like knowing what music is and how it should be made. You know, like I think the creative part of music is like just kind of going into it blindly and like
I agree 100%.
And thinking of something, you know, off the top of your head rather than, okay, so what chord goes with an F? Right. You know, like you're
kind of overthinking it.
Well, you're overthinking and it's like almost like pre-planned. which like kind of takes the fun out of it.
Takes the spontaneity out of it and everything.
Yeah, totally. And like that, I grew up playing, just improvising and like
and then just make it
along to things. Yeah. So it was a learning process for me because of just like what they were saying back and forth to each other, like how they were communicating. Like, oh, this is a flat 7/5, or just like, wait, what was that? Or we're playing in the key of G sharp. I'm just like, whoa, it was like a learning, like I said, a learning process for me because I would like stop them and just like, wait, what do you mean by that?
Right. You're gonna pick their brains and whatnot, and kind of just start picking up on it.
Totally. The lead guitar player, he was getting a degree in music, so like he just. The possibilities were endless, as far as that went.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these were like a bunch of younger guys that I was playing with, but I was learning a shit ton of stuff from them because I was just like, no ego involved. I just like, tell me if I'm, if I'm flat or if I'm singing like off key. Or
Coach
whatever.
me up a little bit so we can make this.
It was almost like, these guys that were, 20, 22, and I was considered the old guy. I was like 28 at the time, and they were just so old, man. Yeah, I'm just like, fuck you guys. Like, you'll be in my shoes someday kind of thing. But yeah, no, they're awesome. I still keep in touch with those guys, and they're living and playing music in Portland.
They're still playing music down there?
Yep, still doing it.
Badass, dude.
Still doing it.
It's badass. Yeah, I like kind of like the thought though you were talking about, like just like the whole improvising and whatnot, just kind of just like making it your own. It's like that's how I've always operated in terms of like whether it's recording a podcast or doing sketch comedy TV shows. It's like we come up with like just a little bit of a basis and we just kind of throw ourselves into it and whatnot. So,
it obviously works. It obviously works in some way, but I think musically there's definitely something to be said about being spontaneous and trying not to fit everything into that musical mold that you're always thinking about. Like, think outside of that.
Because then sometimes you just get too consumed within it, and then you just got to take a step back and be like, all right.
Well, like you said, like the spontaneous side of it is kind of killed because like you're always thinking that barrier or whatever. I don't know what you would call it specifically, but
no, me neither.
It's almost like that musical mold, I guess. That's really all I can
right. No, I can understand that. So you're coming up from Corvallis, and you get an opportunity up here in Washington State, or how do we make the trip up here to Yakima?
Okay, so my fiance we were living together in Corvallis. She had basically said, screw California, coming up to Oregon with you. And I moved to Oregon, and then I think she came up maybe like 3 or 4 months after I was up there. And we were just living together. It was pretty chill, and she kind of realized that what she was doing in California like really wasn't for her, so she wanted to like take some classes to kind of get a feel for maybe something else that she'd be interested in, and that kind of led her into pharmacy. So she took some classes at OSU actually, and then she got into school up here at the school right here. The
PNWs. Okay, so yeah.
It's actually a WSU branch. Alva, get out of there. It's a WSU branch, and she got accepted up here, and she moved up here, was coming to school up here, obviously.
Right.
And my contract was actually ending in OSU, so I'm just like, this can be kind of like a perfect segue out
Yeah, nice transition.
Because I just felt like my job wasn't really going anywhere. I like the people that I work with, but again, it's just like, a 28, 29-year-old guy, like, you don't picture yourself staying in Corvallis the rest of your life.
Right.
And that was kind of like how I was thinking of it. And these guys that I were playing music with, they're awesome, and I could probably, go see them at any time. Like they're great friends, but I just knew I kind of had to go. It was kind of like, I don't have a job like after this date, and this is just my way to
Yakima, here I come.
Yeah, like Yakima, just like fuck it, Yakima,
it.
here I come.
Yeah.
So I came up here, like I said, like around this time actually in 2016, and
it's the best time to come up here, man. Springtime, dude.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I came up here, and I wasn't really sure what to think about the Yakima area at first.
You didn't Google the headlines out of Yakima?
I did, and
shooting down on Cherry.
Shooting on First Street, right? No, but I did, obviously, and I had come up here a couple times
Okay.
to see Heather and stuff.
Course.
So, you know, I was a little bit familiar with the area, but, you know, as far as, like, living here, I was just
Right.
like, what's this going to be like kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, I moved here, and we got this place, and I by the, you know, just applying random places and trying to get a job. When I moved up here, I ended up getting a job at YVC, and
Hey.
you know, things were just kind of like working out.
Clicking,
Just like,
click,
yeah, I'm
click,
just like,
yeah.
damn, this is cool. So,
Yeah.
Started going to like some shows. I think one of the first music-related things that I went to was like an open mic down at one of the coffee houses.
Northtown,
downtown.
most likely.
Northtown.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
Yep. And
I actually got kicked out of there like 10 years
Really?
ago. Like at their old location, I was doing stand-up comedy, and I was told one week, okay, you can't swear. And I'm like, well, fuck that. And so the next week I swore, and yeah,
That's
I was asked not to
hilarious.
come back.
That's hilarious. It's just like, you know, it's like the Doors playing Ed Sullivan. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
we don't want you saying, you know,
Well,
well, they were playing Light My Fire.
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course,
don't say
yeah.
hi, you know,
Yeah.
get high or whatever. And it's like, well, we just played Ed Sullivan. We don't have to play here anymore.
Of course. Yeah, I only had to play
That's funny.
Northtown twice, you know.
Yeah.
The legend lives
Second
on.
time, you're just like, fuck
you.
mic drop. No, that's funny.
Smash.
But yeah,
no
it was-
one else gets to play it. You only had one mic.
Yeah, it was. That's the thing though, like moving, kind of like jumping around as much as I have, like you get to experience the cultural side of these places, and like I think that's really like what I love most about like my time just being away from home is like just experiencing the cultural side of where I've lived, and the people that I've met have been like for the most part really awesome.
Right.
You know, I've met people that are, you know, they're either transplants themselves, or they kind of understand, or they've, you know, met transplants, and they know how hard it can be moving into a new area and being away from your family and making new friends. You know, it's all just like it's not really a shock, but it's like just, you know, you have to start over.
Right. It's exciting. I would look at it as like a very
Yeah.
exciting time frame, you know.
It's
Yeah.
exciting, but it can be like stressful because, you know, you just, like I said, you have to just start over. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of excitement related to that for sure. But yeah, I just started playing at Northtown. I played at Northtown like once, and then I went to Tieton, the cider place, and there was a show there randomly. I didn't suspect that there would be any sort of entertainment, and we just kind of went to go.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's go here.
Yeah, and
yeah, of course.
and we went, and obviously that's a great place for cider and all that stuff. And I met Jez, who is totally plugged into the, you know, the local scene, and
Of course.
he had a 412 shirt on, which is the area code for Pittsburgh, and we're just like,
Well, that's random.
it was a total random freaking
Right,
thing, and
of
we're
course.
just like, we should talk to this guy.
We should. Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not the most, like, I don't really approach people. Like, my fiance is more like, I'm a complete introvert. She's like more extroverted.
Right.
So she has like no problem like approaching people. And, you know, like 412, like I know what that is.
Yeah.
And Jez just so happened to be in Pittsburgh. Like, we just started talking about like, you know, Pittsburgh and the city and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I was just there with my family. And yeah, so we just kind of immediately connected over that. And
yeah, of course.
yeah, he put me on to a show that's actually coming up this weekend, actually. Cascade Gardens, they do this, it's for like foster families. They do this event every year, and they need just live entertainment. So that was the first show I played.
Oh, there
with,
you go.
Well, not with Jez, but like something that
Something
he invited me to.
alongside,
He's just
yeah.
like, here, you should check this
You
out if you're
should-
trying to play
yeah,
music. Yeah,
of course.
so
This is all just you playing your acoustic guitar.
just
right?
me, my
Yeah.
acoustic guitar, playing like, you know, songs that I had written, not very well. I wasn't like very confident in like what I was writing at the time, and you know, I played covers and just I was just playing whatever
Just putting
I
the set
knew.
together and stuff.
Yeah, I was just
100%,
playing whatever I
dude.
knew for
Yeah, of
sure.
course.
So, you know, did that show, and a lot of kind of my motivation was just, for one, my fiance, because like she knows how just like kind of antisocial I can be sometimes. So she's like, you should do this. Like, you need to just get out there.
Spread
like,
your wings.
yeah,
Braden, spread your wings.
Yeah, essentially, like, you know, lighting a fire under me. So it was like, okay, you know, I can do this. Just, you know, put myself out of my comfort zone. I mean, you know, I've played in front of people and performed, but like never really by myself. You know, it's like you're naked up there. You know?
Of course.
It's like
everyone's
everyone's looking at you. So if you fuck up, or if you like say something dumb, like Everyone's looking at you.
Yeah, but that, I don't know, man. You definitely grow a callus when it comes to that. I'd probably bomb 9 times out of 10 and go up on stage, dude. Yeah. So I'm used to getting those blank stares.
For sure.
You just move on.
Yeah, no, totally.
Don't acknowledge the fuck up.
Yeah, and like it's one of those things where some people probably would never even notice, unless you call yourself out.
And dude, I used to always have that fucking problem. I'd go up on stage and like I do my joke, get to the punchline, doesn't hit. I'd be staring out. Well, fuck that joke, and I'd say it. And like I'd have like I had one of my good friends, Aaron Bennett, tell me a long time ago, don't do that. Yeah. I'm like, duly noted, sir.
Some comedy advice. Yeah. No, that's interesting because.
Yeah.
It's like you naturally want to... I read this interview from... do you know who... not Jeff Buckley. It's Jordan Buckley. Do you know the band Every Time I Die?
I don't think so.
So there's 2 brothers in the band. The lead singer, he just wrote a book. It's called Scale. Keith Buckley is his name.
Okay.
And I read this interview from Keith Buckley, and he was talking about like being a lead singer and how... it was like completely uncomfortable for him to do and like get up there and like
and
banter. It was like stage banter.
Yeah,
like
of course.
He said he would like completely like lock up sometimes, and like one thing that he would do to kind of like get over that was just to like completely take the piss out of himself, like make fun of himself, or like just things that he was thinking, maybe that the crowd was thinking.
Right.
Like he would just say
just
those things,
out.
and just kind of like call it how it was, and it was kind of. He described it as like de-escalating things, like
not taking the moment so seriously.
Yeah, like if you think to yourself like, oh, I'm really fucking up right now, or I'm really uncomfortable, and then you just say that to the crowd, like, oh, like this show sucks, kind of thing. Like, you might get some laughs, you might get some weird looks,
Yeah.
So he described it as that, and I always try to kind of keep that in the back of my mind as far as like de-escalating.
Alba? No.
Yeah, no, dude, no, I totally understand that, man. I totally understand that. I've definitely
being a comedian, like you're just up there by yourself, so it's like if you screw up, just like you said, just move on, man.
Yeah, you move on.
Keep it rolling, keep it rolling.
Of course, that's all you can really do, man. So yeah, man. So you're here in Yakima. You're playing with you're playing your acoustic guitar. I know. When I met you was through Eric, mutual friend Eric Smestad, and you were the drummer for Bad Habit there. I
played drums for Bad Habit for like a year. It was like right around that year mark where I decided. I actually really loved playing with those guys, and we had a lot of like good chemistry because we would just get into the room. And we were all really influenced by like the same stuff, like literally all those bands we were talking about earlier, like all that shit.
Eric was the one that like pretty much got me into like NoFX and stuff back in high school.
Totally. And like we just kind of vibed over, what we grew up listening to and like what influenced us. And I had never played in a punk rock band, so I'm just like, damn, like punk rock drums.
Yeah,
like, I love punk rock drums.
Do it.
Yeah, like let's do this. So like we played like one time because I think they were like looking for a drummer. Their drummer like was on the outs or something. I don't know.
They were in transition mode.
Yeah, and they were just. And I met them at another one of Jez's shows.
Oh wow, yeah.
This was at the Tap Room when it was still when it was still right beside Jimmy John's downtown.
I know. Yep.
And met Eric and Dan at that show because they were seeing Jez's show and then they were playing a show at Bruce.
Oh wow.
So it was just by like complete randomness that I met these guys. Dan, being very personable that he is, like he just came up to me and started talking to me. I think he saw me like say something to Jez, and he's like, I'm just gonna like talk to this guy.
I'm just gonna go talk to him.
And we just started bullshitting, and he looks at Eric, who's like behind me. I didn't even like see him at the time. He's like, this kid's a drummer. Like he said something like that. And he's like pointing to me, and like all of a sudden I look to my right, and Eric's like right beside me, and we just start talking about like whatever, like music, or,
of course,
and shit like that. So they invited me to play, and I rehearsed with them like once. I think we played like one or two songs, like the whole way through.
Wow.
And like we'd never rehearsed, and we're just like, this works. Like, I think like after a few songs, they're just like, you want to play a show with us this Friday?
Let's just do it.
And this was like on a Saturday. This was like the weekend before the show, which I think actually was what was it? It was Folk Life. Like, they were playing Folk Life.
Yeah, it's like one of the bigger shows.
Yeah,
here
they were
in
playing
town.
Folk Life
Yeah.
in Sports Center.
Yeah.
Which, you know, at the time I had no idea what Folk Life was, and we're just like, well, you want to play this gig with us? I'm just like, of course.
Yeah.
But, like, I think we should maybe rehearse, like, 1 or 2 more times, you know, just to kind of get
that time
it
again,
down.
yeah.
Yep. So we played the show, and the show was good, and, you know, they were, like, super impressed kind of just how we all came together and just started playing these songs, and it just felt natural.
Kind of gelled together.
Yeah, and
It
that was
instant
one
chemistry.
Yeah, and that was one thing that we talked about, was just like how natural it felt, and like
Yeah.
how it, you know, like music can sometimes feel like work, like you're working, like we need to rehearse and we need to do this, and you know, playing with those guys, it never felt like work. Like we knew that we had to rehearse for shows, but it never felt like work. It was just like a way to kind of de-stress and play music with your friends, you know.
No, of
so
course,
it was great. And after a year, you know, I kind of decided, well, you know, I really want to start writing my own, focusing on my own stuff, writing my own stuff, and taking my like own music more seriously, which was like, again, like a bittersweet thing. I didn't really want to leave a band because I love playing in bands, but it was just like, at the time I didn't really know what I wanted, and I think that was like the conversation that Dan and I had, was like, I just need to like take a break from this. And you know, of course, they eventually like got their original drummer to play with them, so it was kind of like an easy transition. Like they got him to start playing with them again, and I was just like, okay, like I can kind of
Focus into the background.
Yeah, I could just like focus on
fade
my own stuff.
Fade into black, yeah.
Almost. So it was like, okay, so I could focus on this 100%, start booking shows like in Yakima or outside Yakima or whatever.
And that's really smart of you, though, like just to be able to take that like conscious decision, though, and be like, all right, you know, even though I love this so much, you know, but I want to focus more on this and devote 100%, because like I do that sometimes, like where I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, what's this? Let's do that too. And then you're like, you're not focusing all of it the way it should be.
Well, that's the thing is like, you know, I've read some books just about like how bad we are at multitasking. Like it's just, it's we think we're good at it, but we're actually not, because essentially what we're doing is we're spreading our energy out to like these things. And we're not focusing solely on that one singular thing that we probably should be focused on.
Definitely so.
Or like prioritizing that. So like that's kind of how I thought of it. I'm just like, you know, I love playing in a band and playing drums, which was like super, super fun for me. And like I looked forward to doing it every week when we would get together. But, you know, it was that transition into like working again and like taking my music more seriously and putting myself out of my comfort zone and like contacting venues and
it's kind of just doing it just 100% yourself.
Yeah, like, you know, you're marketing yourself, you're doing the business side, like you're in charge of the money that you're making or the money that you're not making.
You know, like, another thing about like how it is nice to like, you know, do it on your own and stuff. I'm not trying to say like anything like against, you know, being in a band or whatnot, you know, but like I know from my own experience when I worked with other people, a lot of the times like other people's not necessarily maybe not having the same drive as you or the same priorities as you, kind of in your own sense, it kind of can hold you down. So like when you're doing it 100% on your own, then it's all up to you.
It's all you.
It's all you. Yes. Whether you do good or you do bad, you know, like that's all come down to you. That at the end of the day.
Totally. I think that actually that's interesting that you bring that up, because I think maybe subconsciously I was thinking that, like, not necessarily like this isn't what I want to do, but like I definitely want to prioritize this thing more, because like that's, you know, it wasn't anything personal to those guys. It's just like how I felt at the time. Like, and I didn't actually know that. I kind of just needed to take a break from everything and just be like, what do I want here specifically? And you know, it was like reflecting. I had to like reflect and kind of like think about like what I wanted, and here I am. So,
here we are. 20, I was going to say 2017. It's 2018. No, we're almost halfway through 2018. Shit, man.
2018.
So,
I can't believe we're saying that.
Yeah, man. Here we are. Fucking. So, yeah, man. What, I guess we're kind of winding down the interview at this point, but you got, any shows you want to plug? Anything got going on?
Yeah, I got a show actually this Friday at Base Camp, Books and Bites. It's kind of like a...
as in this Friday, because this is going to come. This is going to come out actually on the 17th. So.
Oh, right on. Okay, so
we're a little ahead of ourselves.
We're traveling back in time a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
This will be aired. But okay, so when this airs, I guess I'll have a show that weekend in Wenatchee.
Okay, so like the 19th.
Yep, 18th and 19th. Yep.
Okay, so Friday and Saturday in Wenatchee.
In Wenatchee, yep, at this place called McGlynn's. It's like like an Irish pub kind of restaurant type place.
Okay. And so you're playing 2 nights there?
Yes. Which would be cool.
Badass. You get 2 shows there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing is like going up there and just staying the night and like.
Have you been to Leavenworth?
Wenatchee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
yeah.
For some reason I'm thinking it's all that kind of same area.
No, it's all right.
That's a beautiful area of the state.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've been to both because we played at Wally's and Wenatchee.
Okay,
and
so
Leavenworth, I played up there a couple times at Deer Hinterhof too. So.
I just love that area.
Great places, like beautiful. She's
oh man, she is on one, dude. It's all good.
But anyway, yeah.
She's like, it's the end.
Yeah, dude. She's look at the destruction behind you. That's just like.
Oh, dude. Yeah. No, man, my dog. we had my dog we'd keep him in our hallway. Like when we'd be gone, we'd have like a little baby gate.
Yeah.
And like he started tearing up the fucking carpets. And we're like, oh, you're going on the chain outside, motherfucker.
Yeah,
I get it, dude.
You're gonna be outside.
Yeah, dogs are destructive sometimes, man, for sure.
Jeez.
So cool, man. You got shows working.
Yep, got the Wenatchee show. 18th and 19th, which will be at McGlynn's, and then after that, I believe I'm playing in Yakima somewhere. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at my schedule, but
I'm sure people could find you like on the internet,
Facebook. Yeah, look me up. I'm always posting on my music Facebook thing and my personal one.
Yeah, personal one a little bit.
Yeah.
I know. I found that it's because I don't like getting onto Facebook really anymore. I'm kind of over it.
I don't blame you.
So like what I do, I have it set up through my Instagram. I'm able to post between that going directly onto my page for my Facebook page for our podcast and any other, and then also my Twitter as well. Which my Twitter is like desert, dude. Nothing's there.
Yeah,
no one's ever on Twitter.
I've never. I have Twitter, but like I don't know. I'm more into like Instagram. I like
Instagram.
I like pictures, and I'm more like a visual person. Like I love taking pictures, and I don't know. I think it's just a cooler way to share things.
Yeah, I would agree 100% like with that sentiment, dude. Like that's kind of where I like to operate out of is centrally there, and then so like I'll just post our new episodes there, then that automatically links, and I just got to go into the page manager and just pin them to the top or whatever.
Yeah, that's smart. I should start doing that. Just like plugging my stuff in Instagram.
Yeah, because then you don't have to get on Facebook, and like I get on there like every once in a while. It's like I have like 100 freaking notifications you got to go through just in case anything's on there, but most people
kind of makes you want to just deactivate it for a while, right?
Dude, I've always said that, man. If I didn't have like this podcast or anything else, like I would have been done years ago.
It sucks for people like us that need it but like hate it at the same time. There's a lot of social media that I can't stand. And none of it's mine. It's like you're just seeing like garbage pretty much, and it's just like I don't
don't know. Every once in a while, I'll get on like the local news station's Facebook page and like fuck with people. that's it's been a long time since I did that. Just like stir the pot a little bit. That shit's fun to a point. So.
Just randomly inbox someone like, "What is this garbage?"
I was doing this one thing. I like getting on like celebrities. Facebook page, not Facebook, but like Instagram and shit. I'll post comments on there and be like, hey, next time you're in town, let's hit me up and we'll go smoke a pack of cigarettes and shit. I don't smoke cigarettes or anything, but like
that's funny. Just like say something random.
Yeah,
like, let's go swimming.
Yeah, shit like that, dude. Exactly. And like the kind of the main driving point is like I would I follow like Japanese wrestling. I'm really into Japanese wrestling, so like on their Instagram, it's all in Japanese. So like cool. I have to hit the translate button. So like I kind of thought the part I thought was really funny about it was like I write this whole just ridiculous scenario out, and they have to translate it from from English to Japanese. I'm just like, because it's always some broken translation, so I'm just imagining what it says on there, and
like what they're trying to decipher.
Like fucking Americans.
Yeah, that's funny though, because I've thought of that. Like you see a translation for something and it's like not, it's like grammatically correct or whatever, but. No, that's hilarious though. I should probably start doing that. It might actually make me feel better about all this shit that I'm seeing. You know.
Just put, yeah.
I'm gonna type something ridiculous on this asshole's status that he just posted.
Dude, it's just trolling people. And
yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
Essentially,
dude.
it is trolling.
It
can be pretty funny. Though.
It can, dude. Done right, trolling is one of the best art forms.
You got to be a tasteful troll.
You got to be a tasteful troll. Well, all right, Braden, dude. I thank you so much for coming on here, man.
Pleasure.
We'll have to do hopefully part 2.
Yeah.
One of these next days. So.
Definitely.
All right, man. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
For sure.